So this movie right here that you've probably never heard of, I saw it tonight. Let's talk about it. Directed by Minhale Baig, stars Blake Cameron James, Gian Ramirez, Essie Patha Murkison, and Jurnee Smollett. So this takes place in 1992 in Chicago in the once infamous Cabrini Green neighborhood. Eric and Malik are best friends. They grew up together. They're in elementary school, and they live one floor apart in Cabrini Green. Eric lives with his dad and his sister. Malik lives with his mom, his grandmother, and his younger sister. Not a care in the world do they have until tragedy strikes and a 7-year-old schoolmate of theirs is shot and killed right outside of the school. And with any tragedy, it forces you to look at life a bit differently. However, they're just kids. And that's a constant reminder in this movie that they're just kids, and some of the adult worries that we have doesn't even cross their mind. Yes, they just lost their classmate, but they still don't have this understanding that time is not promised, tomorrow is not promised, time is short. Real talk, the movie's kind of dry, a little boring. I dare say maybe even slightly flat until you get to the third act, and then it really just starts to beef up emotionally. But before that, it's like we're kind of stepping into a portrait and we're just watching their lives unfold. Character development is in their relationship. As we get to know their relationship, their friendship, as we become invested in this friendship, we really get to see as a unit how they are individually, and we see how they complement one another. Malik is very hopeful. He has big dreams. He is able to kind of look at something and just kind of use his imagination and see something bigger and grander. And he kind of pulls that out of Eric a little bit. But, he's wondering what life is like outside of his neighborhood. He's curious about the world around him. And he's wondering at his young age what life is like, what life has to offer him, what he's capable of. Eric is a little less hopeful, and it's kind of sad. When they encounter this tragedy with this schoolmate and they're at the funeral, you really start to see Eric kind of hit a wall, and you start to see that hopelessness, and just, life is bleak. There's nothing better than this. What's the point in dreaming big or envisioning life beyond Cabrini Green? This is all it's ever going to be. And that's kind of where his mindset is. And it's really tragic. And although this movie's a little boring, a little dry, this movie shines thematically. There's so much this movie is trying to say. This is one of those movies that's worth studying a little bit. Sitting back, watching with other people, and discussing afterwards to see what everybody kind of got out of it. Seeing the world through the eyes of a child, there's always so much to learn, because you have one kid who's just, life is bigger than the whole sky, and another kid who can't see beyond the brick walls. You've got a mother who is desperately trying to want to better her family's life, and then you have a father who seems content where he is, but not in a bad way. He's doing well, and he's good with doing well. You've got a grandmother who grew up in Tupelo, Mississippi, so she experienced a lot of the racism and segregation of the South, which is what drove her to Chicago, the Cabrini Green neighborhood, in the first place. But when she moved there, it was a much different kind of setting. So much of Cabrini Green has changed since she first got there. So you see this mother kind of continuing this pattern in her family where it seems like they're always running from something. But if there was like one big message to kind of tie the whole movie together, it starts off at the very beginning where the kids are carrying a mattress down a flight of stairs, going into abandoned apartments and finding old mattresses, taking them to the playground, and they have this game where they're supposed to jump onto or over the mattresses. And this idea that you can't be afraid to fly. You can't be afraid to do the impossible. You can't be afraid to get hurt. Not letting fear hold you back. That's kind of the message that's being pushed here. Again, a little boring, a little dry. But I've seen a lot of movies this year. I would definitely say this is top 10. I'm not quite sure if it's top 5 yet. Ask me in a week. In terms of black cinema, this is definitely the best I've seen all year. One of the best I've seen in the last, 18 months or so. I know a good chunk of black audiences are kind of irritated with black cinema right now. They're sick of, traumatainment. They're sick of, stereotypes being portrayed as black culture. And while many people won't say it out loud, they're sick to death of seeing black faces slapped onto white bodies and that being called representation. This is such an authentic look at black life without the emphasis being on race because the story is underneath the skin color. For me, it's a little refreshing because it's like we have human stories too. The two young men in this movie, they're so precious. They're so sweet. I cried. I wasn't planning on seeing this. Well, no, let me rephrase. I wasn't planning on seeing anything tonight. I had plans for this Monday night, but those got canceled, and I'm so used to doing something on a Monday night. So I was like, well, let me see if there's anything playing that I missed that I actually want to see. And I was just scrolling, and saw this was here. This was on my list of things to see this year. I just didn't know it was out. So that was a nice, pleasant surprise. And I'm so glad I did. I love this. It's just a sweet little, almost an Americana kind of drama. Just authentic life on screen, beautiful portrait. I loved the writing. It was poetic. It bothered me slightly because it's like, little kids don't talk like that. But the writing was very poetic, not just in the dialogue, but also in the way the story is structured. Stylistically, cinematography-wise, gorgeous. The music is beautiful. It's just, the style of the film is just stunning. It's a work of art. It's a portrait. It's poetry. It's just creativity-wise, it's just well done. I'm interested to see what this director, because she wrote and directed, I'm interested to see what else she's got up her sleeve, drama wise, because there aren't too many good dramas out anymore. Everything's action, everything's boom 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 boom. Like a nice little slow even drama, sometimes it's good for the soul to just slow down. I needed this.